Welcome, Mr. Brady, and we'll get right to our topic today. What's this about the unified law?
Thank you, Frank. That's a great question. There's been a lot of concern about the unified law. I've decided to hold it in abeyance for a few years, but let me tell you why, and I think our employees need to know too. So we begin the journey back in 1821, and everyone knows the story where we sent soldiers out to the frontiers and they needed schools, and we developed a CONUS, schools in the United States. And then after the war, after World War II, we sent those 100 great teachers over to take care of our children of the men and women who are in occupied countries. And we developed two school systems. One was under Title 10 and the other was under Title 20. Now, you know, since I've been here, we talked about one DoDEA and how important it is to have a school system, not a system of schools. And that's been one of my priorities since I've been here. Academically, educationally, thanks to the great work of the teachers and administrators out in the field, we are moving forward with a one academic approach. College and career ready standards, an assessment system. Very, very pleased with the efforts and the hard work. But when you still have two laws, simply because in 1992, when you call something DoDEA, does not make it one organization. So we had about 3 years now in this effort of looking at the laws and seeing what could be melded together in a unified law, which would take care of some of the discrepancies that you're very familiar with, which was the eligibility on who should attend our schools in the United States and overseas. How do we pay for student lunch programs and operate student lunch programs in two places? Should they be school boards or school advisory committees? In other words, bring order and structure. And the most importantly is how about the remarkable complexities of having two personnel systems as they impact our teachers and on benefits, salaries. So we made, I think, a very, very good effort in bringing together a unified language for a law. But as we put it forward, I had a working group established to go over the details on the implementation of that law, assuming success. And we found out that it impacted on the only other federal school system, and that's the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And so based on that, we decided to take it back and take a careful look at the implementation strategies and terms and details necessary to make this happen. So at this point, we've asked not to go forward, but I think in the next 2 or 3 years, we'll take a look. And in the meantime, we'll be implementing on what makes sense to try and bring these together. And the purpose is to make sure that it's fair, it's equitable, and it makes sense for one DoDEA.
Now, in addition to the impact on the other federal agency, you said there were heavy lifts involved here. What were some of those?
Well, when you talk about two separate school systems or two separate hiring systems for teachers, the pay and benefits are completely different and in two different titles. It will be nice to get that together. It will be nice to have that well-defined, because that is absolutely a zero defect. We have to have that 100% correct, and I won't go forward until we have it 100% correct, so that no one is negatively impacted, and is fair and equitable to all. And so as we go forward to reintroduce the unified law, we will do that.
Did you have concerns about change fatigue in the organization as well?
That's the other element, and thank you for bringing it up. I think for if you look at all the wonderful initiatives that we have going on in DoDEA, particularly the college and career ready standards and now the assessment system, all of our energy and attention and the great work out there by our teachers and administrators to improve student achievement, that is going along very, very well. To overlay another major change, although necessary, may be necessary in a few years rather than in the immediate future. And so that's part of the decision process too.
And you learned some lessons from those implementations, CCR, RSA, along the way?
Well, I think we did, in fairness. I think if you look at some of the other models of the states when they began implementing college and career ready standards, it was within 12 months, 24 months. We had the luxury of doing it correctly. We had the luxury of time, the professional development, and the willingness of the workforce to adopt them. And so we're going to keep that measured approach going forward.
The culture of this organization is rich and proud.
Absolutely.
And how do you think your decision will help nurture that culture as we move ahead?
I think the most difficult part of change is the cultural part of change, and we've been going through quite a bit. As you know, aside from the implementation of the standards, we've also had a major internal restructure. We're restructuring HR. We have a different HR provider. That's a great deal of change. And as much as people think they want change, it's just a matter of what degree of that change you want to have. And so it just makes sense to moderate that a bit. The goal remains the same. It would be a great idea to have one title, one law, one DoDEA. And we will eventually, but let's do that in a different approach and certainly make sure that we coordinate with our other federal agencies going forward.
And it doesn't stop the forward motion that you
No,
put.
of course not. It's a great organization, great people. And what I want to thank all our employees for is that singular focus on taking care of the military families, children, and improving student achievement. Every student, every day, everywhere.